So everybody has been talking about the fact that Donald Trump has just announced that America now has a strategic crypto reserve. As crazy as it sounds, that's what's happened today. That is the massive breaking news. And we can see that the prices of said cryptocurrencies have been absolutely pumping. But I'm far more interested in exposing the massive $200 million whale who looks to have profited to the tune of $10 million in a day with what I think is a little bit of insider trading information. I know how crazy that sounds, but we can see here that an unknown whale built a $200 million long position literally 24 hours before we saw this brand new announcement by Donald Trump. And I think that there could be some dominoes and some very interesting chronological events that we're going to have to look at. Because on the 1st of March, again, that is only 24 hours ago, we saw this announcement here. The White House held its first ever crypto summit. Then, 12 hours later, we saw a whale build a $200 million leveraged long Bitcoin and Ethereum trade. And then this morning, Donald Trump tweets out the thing that has broken the internet. And that is the fact that we are going to see a strategic crypto reserve. The first thing he tweeted out was about Solana, Cardano, and Ripple. You can see the original tweet here. Donald Trump had to quickly come out and quote tweet that. And he says, hey, I also love Bitcoin and Ethereum. But I think there could be a little bit of insider information being passed around. And I do want to have a look at who is this $200 million whale? What do they know? And how does this most recent announcement change the odds of America creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve? Because we see here, I've pulled up the poly market odds. These are the odds looking at what is actually going to happen. In America, are we going to see a strategic Bitcoin reserve? Well, these are the most trusted odds, and we can see that they have absolutely spiked yesterday since Trump's Truth Social tweet. It's actually pretty crazy. Jake Thomas in the chat says it was Peter Schiff. He was the $100 million whale. I'm not so sure about that. I wouldn't be surprised, though. Again, it's a possibility. It certainly is a possibility. We can see here these odds right now are suggesting that there's a 22% chance that America is going to be creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the first 100 days. So as you can see, we've kind of been declining a lot since mid-January. And now we've just reached the highest odds that we've seen in around 2 months. Now, that's cute, that's interesting, but I'm more interested by this, having a look at what might happen in 2025. So we can see now we have the odds of the US creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the year 2025. They have now spiked to 60% probabilities. Literally overnight, they have absolutely spiked. Now, something else that's spiked overnight is the entire space, not just Bitcoin, which is the only thing we talk about here on this channel, but all of the other cryptocurrencies that Donald Trump mentioned have also gone absolutely bananas. Have a look at some of the percentage gains here by some of these altcoins mentioned by Donald Trump. Again, we're going to continue to reinforce the fact that all of these altcoins will trend to zero against Bitcoin in the long run. But what we can see is we've seen a hell of a green day. Bitcoin actually saw, believe it or not, its first ever God candle today. That is a $10,000 candle. That's what a God candle is. We can see, I want to show it to you guys. Let's zoom up. Let's remove my big ugly head off the screen for a minute. And let's have a look at how big this Bitcoin daily pump was. 13% green candle. Take a look at it. Respect it. Just respect that green candle. Let's zoom on in. Let's have a look. I'm going to remove these volume bars off the chart here. But you can see Bitcoin rallied from $84,000 to about $94,000. This is a God candle. This is a $10,000 candle, but a lot of these other cryptocurrencies mentioned by Trump have also aggressively pumped. Have a look at this. This is Cardano, for example, up 60% on the day. Again, a lot of people are saying, I'm going to buy Cardano. It's actually up 100% on the day. Cardano's doubled today. And a lot of people are thinking, should I buy Cardano? Should I buy Ripple? I mean, look at Ripple. It's had a hell of a pump. A lot of people are saying, why buy Bitcoin if I can buy Cardano? It's going to be in America's strategic Bitcoin reserve, strategic crypto reserve, I should say. Ripple's up 54%. Well, this is the chart that I want to show you guys. And this is the chart I think we should all be very, very aware of. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to price Bitcoin in Cardano. Now, what you're going to see is, firstly, this is a little bit of a funky chart. Maybe first I'm going to show you Ripple priced in Bitcoin. Okay, so you can see here the trend is pretty clear. This is Ripple priced in Bitcoin. As we can see, from its 2017 all-time high, if you are holding Ripple instead of Bitcoin, you're down by 82%. You've been absolutely wrecked. There is no ifs or buts about it. You've been absolutely destroyed. Completely devastated. Bitcoin goes to the moon. That's the quote from the Giga Chad Michael Saylor. And we can see it's, it's pretty similar when we look at any of these altcoins, even the ones that have been mentioned in this strategic crypto reserve. This is Cardano. Let's have a look at it. From its peak against Bitcoin, Cardano is down a whopping 85%. Again, this is why we continue to say altcoins will continue to trend to zero against Bitcoin. I have another really cool little chart that I want to show you guys. Kind of just illuminating why we think even if Donald Trump is creating a strategic crypto reserve, you'd be pretty brave to be storing any material amount of your wealth in these cryptocurrencies. Okay, now this is another interesting chart. We can see this is looking at the top 2,400 cryptocurrencies. This is the cream of the crop. Again, I believe there are millions of coins today, quite literally millions. Now we've picked the best 2,400 of them for this chart here, and you can see how many of them have actually outperformed Bitcoin on a long enough time period. None. Maybe Dogecoin for about 3 years has outperformed Bitcoin for about a 3-year window. But if you zoom out, you can see the noise, which is circled in red, continues to trend to zero when priced in Bitcoin. So again, that probably answers one of the questions that a lot of people might have jumping in onto this live stream tonight. There is 402 of you guys between YouTube and Twitter. So welcome. If you are new here, be careful what you buy. Just because the president of the United States is creating a strategic crypto reserve and he's including cryptocurrencies like Solana, Cardano, and Ripple, you just need to do a little bit of a deep dive to understand whether these things actually have fundamental value or not. And when you do dig beneath the surface, you're going to see that no, they do not have fundamental value. Now, there could be a little bit of a rabbit hole to explore here to explain why these cryptocurrencies were included in the strategic crypto reserve. We're going to get there, and this is going to relate to exposing the whale that I want to talk about today. So again, I kind of teed this up for you guys a little bit in the introduction. Yesterday, a whale went 50x long on Bitcoin and Ethereum. So they built a $200 million position. That's right, $200 million. Let's have a look at what they did. They went leverage long Bitcoin and Ethereum. They went leverage long Bitcoin at $85,000. This is their portfolio. Went absolutely gangbusters. You can see how parabolic that is. And I would again like to just remind you guys how interesting the timing of that is. This happened hours after the White House hosted their first crypto summit. Literally hours after this summit, a whale builds a $200 million leveraged long position. With 50x leverage, was that the leverage that I just read in that tweet? Yes, it was a 50x leverage long. Now let me illuminate just how dangerous that is. To go 50x leverage long something, that means that if the price of Bitcoin goes down by 2%, your entire portfolio gets liquidated, your entire position. Just think about that for a moment. Who is willing to put $5 million on the line and say, if Bitcoin moves 2% lower, I'm going to lose my entire position? This is what leverage longs mean. Obviously, yes, you can use a stop loss. I understand how this works, but I don't want to get too complicated for you guys. What I'm more interested in is you have to be pretty certain that the price of Bitcoin's not going to go down by 2% if you don't want to lose your $4 million position. Think about that for a moment. Don't you think it's interesting that somebody with such certainty and such conviction creates this massive long position the day before Donald Trump creates and tweets out the tweet that broke the internet this morning, certainly broke Twitter? Everybody was talking about the fact that Donald Trump is openly talking about these strategic crypto reserves. I think it's interesting, but here's where the things get even more interesting and the coincidences start to occur. I got this tweet here from Predator. It's a pretty good, let's call him an investigative journalist. That's what I think he is. That's who I consider Predator on Twitter, an investigative journalist. Crazy how everything's changed over 15 years. All of a sudden, those who I pay most attention to do not have any credentials in journalism. They did not go to university for 10 years to get brainwashed. They just do the work and they follow the money. And that's what we're about to do for you guys right now. We're going to follow the money. Let's have a look at this here. So this tweet here is from Predator. He's like, what a coincidence. Almost like David Sachs is going to funnel American tax dollars into his stupid indexed ETF product. So Bitwise is a cryptocurrency index fund. That's what they are right now. An investor? Who is it? David Sachs, the crypto czar of America. Let's have a look at what's in these top 5 holdings of the Bitwise top 10 crypto index fund. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, and Cardano. Hang on a minute. What were the 5 cryptocurrencies that Donald Trump tweeted about today? Wait a minute. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Ripple, Cardano. Oh, boy, that's a hell of a coinky dink, don't you think? Don't you think it's just an awfully big coincidence? I certainly think it is. I really do think it is. So if you want to know who that secret whale is, look no further. Look no further. I think maybe, just maybe, we've done a little bit of investigating right there. And I do think that somebody in this Trump administration is probably responsible for just making a cool, cold-hearted $10 million today, in a day. Again, think about how crazy that is. For somebody to make $10 million in a day. McLovin in the chat says if he had $4 million lying around, he'd probably do the same thing. And not me. I certainly do not have the cojones big enough to be using 50x leverage. Certainly not. Was it Peter Schiff? Jake Thomas asked the question, was it Peter Schiff? It's a good question. It's a great question. We are actually going to be having a little bit of a look at a Peter Schiff tweet, because even he appears to be tweeting about Bitcoin today, which is awfully interesting. Before we get there, before we talk more about Donald Trump and not only the chaos that he's creating in the Bitcoin space and the crypto space, I also kind of want to talk about what he is also doing in the gold space, because I might have a little bit of an interesting rabbit hole to take you guys down when we get to the gold space. Before we get there, I think it's also just worth mentioning that this trader has now closed his long positions. So again, read into that what you will, guys. Maybe there's some people wanting some short-term trading advice. The only short-term trading advice I have for you guys is don't sell your Bitcoin, buy your Bitcoin for 5 years and don't sell it. Again, nothing you hear on this channel should be construed as financial advice. All I'm going to ever tell you is what I'm doing with my own money. And all I'm doing with my own money is buying Bitcoin and zooming out. Because over the weekend, again, I made a stream. I got a little bit of heat for it recently for taking a swing at the perma bears who were freaking out yesterday. So I tweeted this on March 1st, 5:07 p.m. This was yesterday. And I tweeted, this is the crash everyone has lost their minds over. It's so over. Again, it's when you really zoom out, it just puts things into perspective. At the time when I tweeted that, I think Bitcoin might have been down something like 25 to 30%. And everybody was freaking out. Bitcoin was at, what, $78,000? I bought the dip. Thanks for coming. And we can see pretty clearly where the price is right now. Bitcoin's back it's back at $94,000. I think this is yet another reminder that you're going to see a lot of volatility. Be prepared for volatility. We saw a lot of it in the 2017 Bitcoin bull run. Have a look at how many corrections there were, larger than 29% in the 2017 bull run. We rallied from $1,000 to $20,000 in 9 months, a 20x. Again, I want you all to be prepared for another 20x today. I want you to be prepared for Bitcoin to 20x, to go from $75,000 to what, $1.25 million? I think that's a 20x. Quick maths. But I think a lot of people just are not prepared for the volatility that we might see when we see something like that. And this is why I always encourage you guys to learn about Bitcoin. And when you don't hold Bitcoin on exchanges, you can really zoom out a little bit and just ignore all of this volatility that you do see in Bitcoin. I think a lot of people are just simply too focused on the price. Okay, once you understand Bitcoin, once you self-custody Bitcoin, the rest is history. The rest is easy. I don't think about the price anymore. Again, if you are looking for somewhere to buy your Bitcoin, I always encourage you guys to check out what the Bitcoin Well is doing. They are our partner here on the YouTube channel and Brandon's YouTube channel, Green Candle, because they force you guys to self-custody your Bitcoin by default. And we're massive fans of self-custody. We don't believe you own the Bitcoin unless you take self-custody of your Bitcoin, which is why we're such massive fans of what the Bitcoin Well is doing. Okay, so whether you're a retail pleb looking for somewhere safe and secure to send your family and friend members, or whether you are a high net worth individual looking to buy Bitcoin over the counter, very tight fees, very tight spreads, low fees, we recommend what the Bitcoin Well is doing. They have a service for anyone who needs to get started on their Bitcoin buying journeys. We highly encourage you to check them out. Once you've bought the Bitcoin at the Bitcoin Well, I also always encourage you guys to check out what Stampseed is doing. Yes, it's essential that you put your Bitcoin in a hardware wallet. That's the most important step in Bitcoin. The second most important step that you can take when you self-custody your Bitcoin is writing down your 12 or 24 words. That is your Bitcoin. That's your Bitcoin private keys onto something that's not actually life-proof. Okay, I always encourage you guys, don't write down your Bitcoin backup words on paper. It's terrible. Put them on something like this. These are the titanium plates that Stampseed make. As you can hear, that's real metal, baby. These things ain't burning down in a house fire. If there's a flood, these things will be fine. That's why I always encourage you guys to check out what Stampseed is doing. You guys can get 15% off anything you want to buy from Stampseed with a promo code Luke15. And again, everything you need to know for the Bitcoin Well is linked down below in the chat, but also in the live chat from All Night Hider. Thank you, my friend. Dead End says that everything at Stampseed is sold out. You better be quick. You better be quick to get your hands on the goodies at Stampseed before they sell out once again. Get your hands on them while there is stock on the shelves. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the chat here. McLovin says Luke is Bitcoin only. 100% true. Before we get back to Trump, because I do want to have a look at what Buck 52,000 here said, whales dumped, bought the low, and they will do it again. Let's have a look. And there's a really cool chart I want to show you guys that really visualizes just how much demand there was for Bitcoin once we dipped under $90,000. When we have a look at this puppy on a weekly, have a look at this. I'm going to try my best to remove my mug. Phil's in the chat. Yo, welcome, Phil. Good to see you again, my friend. I do have laser eyes. I got the orange laser eye glasses on. Oh, some of these comments are absolutely electric. Some of these I can't even read on YouTube. Wow. You guys are just trying to get me in trouble. Back to the charts. Don't distract me. All right. This is what I want to have a look at. This, I believe, shows how much demand there is for Bitcoin. Look at this ridiculous looking candle. Hang on a minute. What do you even call this thing? There is a name for it. I believe the technical name is like a dragonfly doji candle, something like that. But when you have this massive wick down here, that's telling you there is good probabilities that we're about to see blast off, because that's incredibly bullish. Price of Bitcoin tried to go down to $77,000, $78,000, under $80,000. It was swiftly rejected. Swiftly rejected. Again, we truly believe that the price in the short term is nothing but a distraction. I don't care whether you buy Bitcoin for $78,000, $88,000, or $98,000. It's not going to matter in 12 months' time when the price of Bitcoin is going to be $900,000. Yep, I'll stand behind that prediction. I think we're going to see Bitcoin in the hundreds of thousands in the next 12 months. I think this bull run is just getting started. I actually have a statistic to back up that wild claim. I remember I tweeted something on Twitter yesterday that I haven't done a video about yet for you guys. Have I? Oh, maybe I have. All right. Well, for the 750 of you guys tuning in live today, if you missed it, this is why I think the Bitcoin bull run hasn't even started yet. So what we've seen right now is over the past 12 to 18 months, the global money supply throughout 2024 has only risen by 1%. And Bitcoin's rallied by 200% already to start this bull run. If you have a look at the previous bull runs, 2013, 2017, and 2020, those Bitcoin bull runs coincided with massive increases in the global money supply. 2013, global M2 rose by 26%. Bitcoin rallied by 9,500%. Oh no, don't tell me I wasn't sharing my screen. You guys can see it now. 2017, global M2 rose by 22%. Bitcoin rallied by 2,000%, a 20x. 2020, we saw something similar. Money supply grew by 50%. Bitcoin rose by 500%. Now, I'm making the case that this bull run hasn't even started yet because global M2 has hardly started expanding. Have a look at the chart here. You guys can see very clearly. Global M2's just started expanding at its fastest rate in what looks to be about 3 to 4 years now. So I think we're early here. To answer McLovin's comment, we are going to be seeing $200,000 Bitcoin, in my very humble, uneducated, uninformed opinion. I'm more bullish today than I have been in the 9 years I've been in Bitcoin. God, I'm getting old. You guys know I'm getting old, but I'm getting very old. I've been in Bitcoin for 9 years now. If you think we're going to see $200,000 Bitcoin, you can bruise the like button to show the algo what's up, as All Night Hider says. That should be somewhere around there, that like button. We would appreciate a bruising of that. Helps push this Bitcoin-only content in front of the eyes of more people. Hopefully, these people will have laser eyes soon. Yeah, I am actually very interested to see what happens to MicroStrategy tomorrow. That's a great comment, buck 52,000. Let's have a look at I want to actually just quickly check on the MicroStrategy price. What do we got? Okay, so yeah, I'm expecting some serious volatility in MicroStrategy in the very, very near future. I think we're going to see some wild things from MicroStrategy. Oh, let me try to clear this up so you guys can see what I'm cooking with. MicroStrategy's had a very nice correction. If I pull up that chart again once more, this is the MicroStrategy chart, had a pretty deep correction. Boy, oh boy, would you take a look at that. MicroStrategy down by 57%. We do know that Bitcoin just gapped up literally yesterday. Is MicroStrategy going to follow? Huh. Look, you guys know I'm not necessarily a betting man. Actually, I'm definitely not a betting man. But if I had to bet, I'd say MicroStrategy is going to see a pretty interesting day tomorrow. That's what I am going to say. Speaking of interesting days, I think a lot of people are now wondering what comes next. Okay, we've got a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Does Trump have other plans? Is Trump going to enact all of these tariffs that a lot of people right now are so concerned about? These tariffs, by the way, they're having a hell of an impact on a lot of different markets around the world, not just the Bitcoin market, which is something I want to focus in on here in a moment. Because I think we're actually seeing something really interesting develop, not just in the Bitcoin space. Oh, there you go. This could lead to something that All Night Hider is pointing towards here in the chat. I think we certainly could be seeing some, let's call it geopolitical volatility here in the not too distant future. Because Trump is changing everything. I don't know if you guys saw or not, but since Donald Trump did start talking about putting tariffs on other countries, we've seen a massive flight to safe havens. And what we've seen is gold absolutely surging into New York warehouses. So what these charts is showing is gold is rapidly evaporating and leaving the banks of massive countries like the UK. And now we're seeing some really interesting signs that if you want to get gold out of a vault from the UK, you need to wait for 6 weeks. That's right, the delivery times have octupled. They've increased by, quick finger check, 8 times. The wait to get your gold out of a vault has increased by 8 times. And in the interview I'm about to play for you guys, we can see somebody is grilling a central banker in England about this new policy. And now people are starting to wonder, is the gold really there? Donald Trump's talking about auditing Fort Knox, but what about England? Do England's vaults have any gold in them? Well, I want to play you guys this little video here because it is certainly interesting.
Central bank doing to help alleviate current queues?
Dave, do you want to?
Yeah, I didn't. I think I picked up the question. And look, there's, it's worth, given that this is the NPR press conference, it's worth putting what's been happening to gold, which is the detail of your question, in the context of what's going on in the world economy and the uncertainties out there. And it's also worth bearing in mind that, because this helps explain some of the facts around the time it's going to take to get gold out of the bank's vaults, because of the nature of our approach to the gold. So, I mean, the first thing to say is, and I think this is broadly known, but we have the second largest stock of gold in the world, over 400,000 bars of gold at the moment. That's gone down a bit since the end of 2024, reflecting the market conditions that you're talking about and have been a feature in the news. But the stock has gone down by about 2% since the end of, so that's important to keep that in perspective. And the US gold market has been trading at a premium to the London market. and commercial gold holders have been looking to take advantage of that price differential. So there's been strong demand for delivery slots. We can meet that demand. All of our main counterparties, as it were, or better to say, all of those bodies who ship the gold they've all got the delivery slots they need over the next few weeks. If you were coming in new to us, you might have to wait a bit longer because all the existing slots are booked up. But this is a very orderly process. It is worth stressing compared to some of the markets we usually talk about. I mean, it's an obvious point, but gold is a physical asset, so there are real logistical. So there was a lorry in the bullion yard. I mean, that's how it. That's.
Before I show you a chart, again, this wasn't a very complicated question posed to a central banker in England. Not at all. But how much stumbling, fumbling, and diversion tactics has this gentleman been using for the past minute that we've listened to his rambling, his ranting, and his raving? Just think about that as we watch the rest of this clip. I've nearly finished it here. It's a very short one. It's not 15 minutes long, I promise. But again, just if somebody's telling the truth and if there is nothing to be concerned about, would they really be making so much stumbling and fumbling and mistakes like this dude is? Not so sure.
But that's just the reality of it. It takes time, and the stuff is also quite heavy, as you know. So, I think these things sometimes get forgotten about in a headline that says, there's a 6-week delay or something like that. There's a lot of demand, but we've got slots for all the people who currently want to get their gold or want to ship gold on behalf of a customer, and we're managing it.
We're managing it. That's what they think. Now, why are we seeing this crazy price action in gold? And why are we seeing things like 6-week delays to get your damn gold out of a bank vault? Again, I don't know why it takes 6 weeks to get your gold out of a bank vault. What we do know is price of gold's going absolutely bananas right now. People are saying, I want my hands on the real money. I want my hands on Bitcoin. I want my hands on gold. As you can see, gold has been on a little bit of a tear since it finally broke that $1,900 level that it's been struggling with for 15 years. And this is because central banks are buying huge amounts of gold. Let's zoom in and take a look at this right here. We can see central banks post-2022, when America said, yeah, you know what, Russia? We don't care what your reasoning is for your attack on Ukraine. We are going to seize all of your US treasuries. Hundreds of billions of dollars of reserves frozen. That woke the world up. We can see it on the chart right here. The world's central bank said, yeah, you know what? Maybe I don't want to hold those pieces of paper that can be sanctioned, taxed, tracked, and frozen by a central banker who doesn't agree with what we do. So we can see very clearly by this chart, central banks since then have been buying enormous amounts of gold, record-breaking levels of gold. I always like to zoom out a little bit. And when we do zoom out just a little bit, I always like to show you guys the trend. The trend is your friend. I really do believe that's one of my favorite quotes. If I ever got a tattoo, maybe that would be one of them. Nah, it definitely wouldn't be. First tattoo would have to be Bitcoin related. But that's a story for another day. The story I want to cover today is having a look at this. So I always show you guys, central banks have been aggressively buying gold for the first time in 50 years after the 2008 global financial crisis. They know that those pieces of paper, those US dollars, those Australian dollars, those Peruvian soluses, those Mexican pesos, they know that these are pieces of trash. Central bankers are not buying those pieces of trash. They are actively printing those pieces of trash, devaluing those pieces of trash, and the central banks are buying real money, buying money that has been money for the past 7,000 years. It's gold. And of course, the same applies to Bitcoin. This is why we're seeing central banks all around the world buy Bitcoin. This is why we're seeing the largest nation state in the world create a strategic crypto reserve. Yes, I disagree with the crypto part of that reserve, but what I will say is that maybe America is directionally correct. Just directionally correct. And they're not the only country being forced to take a little bit of a more serious peep at Bitcoin. Inside scoop for the 931 of you guys tuning in between Twitter and YouTube at 9:33 on a Sunday night. I'm still shocked that so many of you guys are here on YouTube watching my crazy rants on a Sunday night, but I will be preparing a video for this news headline right here in the not too distant future. So inside scoop for the loyal viewers tonight on this live stream, China, that's right, China is holding a closed door meeting on a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is what David Bailey has just said. David Bailey, CEO of BTC Inc. This could be, as Pete Rizzo puts it here, the pivot of the century. Again, how many times has China banned and unbanned and banned and unbanned Bitcoin by now? Who knows? Oh, this is a great question. This is why I love these live streams. Collaboration is key. And Jim has posed a great question. Who will be the next G8 country to establish a reserve? Japan? I think Japan is more likely than many countries. So off the top of my uneducated, thick, smooth brain, I do know that France and Italy, I believe they're both G8 countries. They're both attacking Bitcoin right now. We know China still technically has Bitcoin banned. So it would be have to be a hell of a pivot, or the pivot of the century, for them to quickly adopt Bitcoin so rapidly. So that already takes a few countries out of the mix. And then we got Japan. So I think Jim's kind of on the money here. Japan could be the next country to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The next G8 country. If I'm not a betting man, but if I was a betting man, I would be putting my money on Japan, because my tired, decaffeinated brain forgets the exact headline, but I found it here for you guys. So this was something we made a video on about 4 weeks ago now. Japan prepares its biggest crypto policy shift yet, with ETF approval and major tax cuts. So Japan is dropping the tax rates on Bitcoin, and they're creating a Bitcoin ETF. Do we think that maybe, just maybe, Japan is going to be the next G8 country that copies what Donald Trump just did today, literally hours ago today, creating the first cryptocurrency strategic reserve? Look, I really do tend to think so. I do think we could be seeing something like that. All Night Hider makes a great point. Japan's debt kind of forces their hand just a little bit. Japan's debt situation makes it absolutely inevitable that they absolutely have to be considering Bitcoin. Dwight in the chat, hello, Luke. He says that just like an Australian. That's how we say the word hello. Hello, Luke. Great reporting on the current BTC and other current events. Thank you, Dwight. It's funny. I would love to show you guys stickers on my laptop. If I do have pants on. So I'm going to show you guys the stickers I have on my laptop. This is how much I love The Office. So these are the little Dwight Schrute stickers. Let me move that screen so you guys can see. I'm trying to focus the camera lens here. 990. There you go. Those are Dwight Schrute stickers. I don't know if I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But anyway, thanks for the comment, Dwight. I love your name, and I love the show The Office even more. We got that camera back. Let me take a quick peep at the comments here. $52,000. I've been talking for 40 minutes. I apologize if I can't string your name together. I have 2 gold teeth. I'd be selling those for Bitcoin as soon as possible. With all that said, guys, I'm going to end this stream here. Thank you so much to the 1,008 of you guys tuning in between Twitter and YouTube. If you enjoyed this one, I'm going to put a link to another video up on the screen somewhere around there. That'll appear once this stream's finished.